first actual conversation we really had, and I'm like a big on transparency, and I'm really big on like broadcasting that because why expect things out of people when you're not doing it yourself? So I expect you to be transparent with what they're about. So therefore, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. Take the initiative to be transparent with them. So that's the kind of narrative I want to set and create. You know what I mean? So
that's what's up. No, I appreciate that. I can tell that you have like media experience, at least in terms of you wanting to put yourself and your brand out there. So like how you want to. Some people, in Humboldt it's just like. It's this interesting thing where, there's only so much media up here. And so people don't know that not everybody has thought about how to, like, what their brand is going to be perceived as, you know what I mean? Or, like, what it's going to come off as, you know what I mean? It does sound like you have an idea.
Yeah, and it's like the idea that I have, because I see a lot of people doing the same gimmick and the same tricks. So, like, I'm like, how can you be innovative in your approach? It's like yes, the lack of media experience up here, but you still got to get in the mindset and coach yourself into like training to be in the media spotlight. Like you have to manifest these opportunities, right? You have to really know the strategy and understand how to read a room. And what breaks through the mold is innovation. And innovation is the one key thing that I feel like a lot of people, and especially artists, are lacking. It's innovation. Doing something new, doing something different out of pocket. Like the whole Kendrick album that just released. So many mixed reviews. It's blowing my mind, but he's doing what he's meant to do.
Yep.
He's being innovative. He's always been that. He's always been innovative. So it's just that's just a recipe to kind of break through, just kind of find out who you are as a person. That's why you got to do a lot of deep digging, a lot of spiritual work, a lot of mental work to really build yourself up, to fortify yourself so you can present yourself to the world and not be afraid of any of the backlash or criticism or praise, not be affected either way because you mastered yourself so good. You can just exist and capitalize on that.
Man, Asaad, we're starting this podcast off with bars already, bro.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy. That's wisdom right there, man. That's how we starting it off. Y'all are in for something, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm in the building now. Oh, yeah, we recording? Okay, yeah, we going down. What's up, world? My name is Asaad the Artist. I'm one half of the group known as Rude, based out here in Humboldt County. Check us out, Spotify, Apple Music, all the things. So, yeah, it's honor and a pleasure to be here, man.
Man, I'm blessed to have you on, man. It's really a blessing here, to sit right now and have you in the studio. We were just talking a little bit about some of the stuff that you were doing before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that. We were also kind of talking about your roots coming from Houston. And I think that's something that folks should hear as well, if you're willing to share that.
Absolutely, man. What I mean? Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I'm all about transparency, just making sure that, I be myself. You got to have comfort in self. And he's just I don't mind sharing any stories or anything about myself because, again, that's a good way to connecting with people. And I'm all about connecting with people because, again, we're so interesting. We have so many dynamics. We have so many energies and perspectives and mindsets. It's just it's a curious thing. So I just the more I connect with people, the better that I could understand how this world functions and what people are really thinking. So yeah, I don't mind sharing anything about me. And let's talk about the whole pandemic experience because that was the most annoying thing in my life, dog. Imagine you are doing something that you have worked a long time getting to a point. And you're oh, okay, so we at this point right here, then everything around you just shuts the fuck down. And it's just now what? You know what I mean? And we was told it was going to be 2 weeks, and I was happy with that. I'm cool with 2 weeks.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah. That 2 weeks has been the longest 2 weeks in our era.
For real.
So, with all the things being halted and now, I think it was a year past the initial pandemic when, shit was getting really crazy during, the July, August, September of that era, but things were just really, really high. That's when all the shutdowns happened because before the pandemic, we did a couple shows out here at the ATL. Shout out to the ATL. We did that. We opened for, what's that boy's name? Riff Raff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, so we opened for him, and we had a good feedback from the crowd and shit like that. So it's we was building on that momentum. Then after that, we went down to LA to shoot the I'm Good video that's on YouTube.
That's what's
Check
up.
it out, Rude Music Entertainment on YouTube. There's a video called I'm Good, and we shot that down in LA. We started making more little connections and started talking to people down there. And like it was good energy that was flowing, right? They would come back up here. I believe that was like 2 weeks before they announced that we're gonna shut down everything for 2 weeks.
Oh man.
So it was like, okay, that's cool. Like we ain't got nothing really planned. It was like what, February. So we had plans that April, May, June, and July when we dropped. We were supposed to do like a little lead up tour to it. You know what I mean? Like lead up to our project release, which is entitled. It's called Entitled at Spotify, Apple. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do shameless plugs in here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to do it. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, we was doing that. And then knowing that things were shutting down longer than extended, we kept on getting emails like, oh, we're going to have to cancel this event. We're going to have to cancel that event. It was just like, fuck, man. Northern Nights we were supposed to do. All the things that we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
God.
Man.
So, and now that would trigger a lot of, depression. Like, oh, we almost there. And just next, it's like you're reaching for a cookie jar. And next, big ass hand just slap your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ah. And now you're all sad and shit like that because you wanted the cookie. You want to get the cookie. Like, damn.
Yeah.
But they say, nah, not yet. So it's just like I had to take a little break and take a little step aside and be like, all right, man, we have to deal with it. Everyone else had plans as well. Everyone else had, things they had to do. And everyone was affected by this pandemic. So, and especially a lot of us artists out here just trying to get our name out, get our brand out, get our content out, and then having everything shut down and us having to rely so heavily on social media and so heavily on just any promotional avenue that we can that's not personal, because I'm like an in-person kind of a guy. Like, I hate social media, you know what I mean? I'm like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you see me out in the streets, it's way different. Like you know what I mean? It's just it's like it's more genuine because it's more authentic because it's more me. You know what I mean? It's more real life. I'm a real life kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I'd rather talk whenever I do the shows and stuff like that. We was doing shows out here, me and Tyler. Shout out to Track. We was out. We just after we do our set, we get feedback from people, and I'm like, I'm not a bullshitter. I'm like, okay, don't just tell me that it was so good. Like, nah. Tell me what you really think. Well, and that's where you get the real. Like, more that you press, the more you're like, no, I'm not playing that bullshit. The more real people are going to get with you. So I come off as rude, quote unquote. You know what I mean? That's what my my little plug into the whole thing is, because don't fugazi me. Like, I'm not going to fugazi you. I'm not going to lie to you. If I think it was like this, I'm going to tell you what I think it's like. So we was doing shows and stuff like that, and we was just really building on our craft and really building on our brand, and then just having everything shut down. And now things start opening back up. Now we have a whole new project coming out this summer. Actually, it's called Ego. Keep an eye out for that, or ear out for that.
Yes, sir.
So we just getting back into the lab. You know what I mean? So we're getting back to work, and I'm, for one, just really, really excited about the upcoming opportunities.
That's what's up. Now you're talking about you and Tyler getting back into the studio.
Yes, sir.
That's dope. So it's Rude Entertainment back at it now. The pandemic's slowing down, and you
It's
guys are
slowing
speeding
down.
back up.
It looks like we're out of the woodworks, even though there's still some cases out there. It's still a real thing. Like, I just had a couple of homies of mine got COVID, so just yo, it's still a real thing out here, people.
That's for real.
But we are getting out the woodworks, and things to start opening back up. So now it's just pick yourself up and start all over again. And it's just I don't mind the grind, because what I mean, if you do mind the grind, it's just you're not meant to be I don't want to say you're not meant to be successful, but it just meant that you're cool with being content. If you're cool with being content, that is great. That is fine. You find your peace. But there's others out here in this world who wants to achieve something on their own merits and their own standards. And I feel like Rude Music Entertainment is that kind of, we are that. We're bringing that energy. We want to do things on our own merits and not do the whole stereotypical rapper shit. You know what I mean? Or, the like be all up in your face in social media all the time. The flash of the chain, counting the money, and doing all the fugazi shit. Like, again, I grew up in the 90s, fam. Like, you flash your money around me, you're getting robbed.
That's
you
for
know
real.
what I mean? Like, what the fuck is going on here, dog?
I know,
You know what
it's
I mean?
changed, man. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, back in the day, cats would have not, like, I would feel a type of way wearing a gold chain around certain parts. So I just tuck that motherfucker in and just, like, keep it moving. Nowadays, cats flashing all kinds of shit on the media, and, like, you can find out where they at, and it could get all bad. You know what I mean? Like,
For real.
Benny the Butcher got shot in Texas doing that, you know, rocking the chain. It's real, people.
Was that recent? Because I follow Benny.
I feel like that was last year.
Oh, man.
But he definitely got shot in the leg, and I think it was in Texas. And, like, yeah, he was out at a Walmart parking lot, I think, or some parking lot. And, you know, the goons ran up on him and be like, "Oh, nigga, nice chain, nigga." You know what I mean? Bow, took that shit. You know what I mean? So,
damn.
It's certainly, but, like, you don't have to do that. If you're good at your craft and you're good at what you do, you don't need no fucking gimmick. You don't need to do the same shit that every other rapper out here does or every other artist out here does. Talk about innovation earlier. You have to be innovative. So that's just my whole little spiel right there. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you. That's what's up. So now, so you guys got that coming. So now let's take it back because we were kind of you were talking about like Houston, man. So like, if you're willing to talk to folks about like what it was like growing up in Houston, what the scene was like.
Yeah. So I grew up an hour and a half away from Houston. Like, you know, hour and a half. Like, it's like a hour 15. I want to say if you drive like my grandmother and my uncles used to drive, you get there in an hour. But so I grew up in a very, very small town called Burnham, Texas, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, during the weekends and stuff like that, or school breaks and summer breaks, I just jet right on over to Houston and just, like, you know, churn up in the city and being around more people because, again, I'm a people person. Like, you grew up in a small town like I grew up in, you know everybody. I hate that. I hate knowing everybody. You know what I mean? So just, like, I want to go to a whole town like, oh, this face and that face and this energy and that energy. And, oh, wow. So growing up as a kid, I was a little bit way more extroverted than I am now. Like, just way more extroverted. So I was a very outgoing kid, and I just, like, knew a whole bunch of people without actually knowing a whole bunch of people. So, you know what I mean? So, like, personally, my experience is just, like, you see some very, very wild shit. Like, you know, you see the normal street stuff that is portrayed in the media and stuff like that. Is there some correlation to that in real life in my perspective? Because I have seen a lot of, like, wildness. And, you know what I mean, especially when I moved to New York after I graduated high school, too. So it's just like I'm getting the doses of all. That's to say, when I say South Side, East Side, West Side, doesn't matter. It's all the same shit. I really mean that because I seen that shit for myself. So growing up, this is the 90s. This is pre-internet days. So you could just imagine the kind of things that people were getting away with. You know what I mean? It's just... we see a lot of the clips on social media about, like, you know, like World Star shit and, like, you know, the Karens caring and, you know, the Bills billing, you know what I mean, doing all that shit. Growing up in Texas is 5 times as that. You know what I mean? They really don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean, with a hard ER and everything. So it's just like, you know, so needless to say, you know, got a lot of altercations growing up. Because I wasn't playing that shit, dog. I'm telling you this right now. I was not playing that shit at all. But, you know, I grew up in a different, you know, environment or like a different structure because I didn't meet my dad till I was 21. So just like, you know, and I grew up like my mom's, I was out hustling, taking care of 9 people, God rest her soul. So mainly it was just my grandmother, my sister, my aunt, and just like a bunch of cousins. So I grew up in that kind of surrounding, that kind of dynamic. We go out to the cities and stuff like that, and we see the world issues way it was back then. In comparison to this today, there's not much difference at all. Like, not much has changed. And it's disappointing because it's just like you expect as time goes on, things would get at least different. It doesn't have to get better, but at least has to be different. And it is a little different, but not a good different. You know what I mean? It's just still like the same shit, but different toilet.
Yeah.
Whack.
I feel you. I always see it as like technology seems to progress, but a lot of things don't around it don't always progress nowhere near as fast. You know.
Because I feel like we're being a little bit more reliant on technology. We're getting too reliant on technology. We're not doing enough work on our mental and our spiritual self. Because we forget that. Like, technology is just a tool and a tool only. You know what I mean? But like what is really supposed to help you grow to be a better person is taking the work and stepping aside from the social medias and the internet and the computers and the Wi-Fi's and shit like that, and just take 10 minutes a day to yourself and just silence. 10 minutes, that's all you need. 600 seconds to yourself. Take 10 minutes to yourself. Think about like who you are as a person. What are your characteristics? How can you improve? How can you be better? How can you grow? And how can you evolve? And you know what I mean? It's going to force you to ask yourself some hard questions, but those hard questions are going to improve your ass. So, you know what I mean? Just face those questions. You got to face whatever the fuck that you're running away from, because when you running away from your shit, it's going to eventually catch up to you. You're not going to be in a good place where it does catch up to you. So you might as well stop running, turn around, and just meet this shit head on. And so it can leave you the fuck alone, and you can just go on about your business.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like technology and the social media game gets in the way of that. It distracts you too much.
Yep.
And distractions are just is the enemy of progress.
Yep. That's what now it's an economy now, like the attention economy, right? They know it's a distraction, and then there's money to be made off that, and it's a whole nother level of like money being made off of you not making progress.
This is how nutty shit is, man. Like, because in this world, there's money to be made in everything. Like, capitalism really fucked this world all the way up. And it's just like, it blows my mind, man. It's just like you can harp on human emotions and capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm.
You can harp on a human mind and capitalize on that. You can capitalize on anything and everything in this world. So when something real comes along, you dismiss it because it's not what you're used to. You used to be sold on something. We're not selling you anything. Rude is not selling you anything. We're showing you something to invest in. And when you invest in something, you're going to get something back, right?
That's right.
We're not here to capitalize. We're here to propose an investment. And invest in us, you're going to get something back.
Now that's dope. Yeah. I think that's how brands really should be thinking about operating. I think there's the model that is, just goes around in certain circles where, you want to get $100 a year from like your top, like you have a certain amount of fans and they're going to spend $100 a year on you, right? And so there's like that model where it's just like multiplying that like exponentially, and like they say like that's like what Drake has done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's that model, but like there's so much more connection that goes into like music, and you get energy and you give energy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
right.
So like there's certain things lost in that, and brands nowadays have really got to look at that and what's my value? How can I connect, with people on a different level? Because most people, unless you get a big break or you do have a bunch of money to put into it from somewhere, like you don't have that major push. You don't have the money to put in like tens of thousands of dollars to like advertising on even just like one channel, like whether it's just like Instagram and then like tens of thousands of dollars elsewhere. You know what I mean? Radio station, tours and all that. Regular folks don't have it like that.
No.
So people have to learn how to make that connection otherwise. And it feels like, especially in a place like this where there's a lot of art that happens, the brands that really have lasting power are those people that can make those connections. So you're already on it.
Yeah, like doing the best I can. You know what I mean? Like, I am just, at the end of the day, I'm just human. So just like everybody else. So I do the best I can to connect with people as genuine and as authentic as possible. And that's just my mentality. And I feel like Tyler's track, he shares the same mentality as well. So that's why, we work so well together. The music we make is very, very dope. And we made some excellent music in very, very poor conditions. So when you say we didn't have the funding or the backing or the financial, again, it's a tool. We gotta we have to stop thinking that that's the end all be all and that's what we need and that's all we need. No, it's just a tool, but you can use what else is in your tool belt that you can dig into. If you don't got a socket wrench, can that monkey wrench work? You know what I mean? If you don't got a car jack, can you get like a tire iron or something like that? Can you get like rocks and you know what I mean, lift a motherfucker up? Like you have to be innovative as you possibly can. And when you're innovative, that's when the money's gonna come through and follow your ass. It'd be like, oh hey, we see something very, very valuable in you. We want to take advantage of that, get a little piece of that. So we're gonna offer you this little sweet little deal, hype your ass up, but you're gonna be buying it to us. We're gonna leech off you and drain every single dollar that we can before we kick your ass to the curb. That's what capitalism does. That's what the industry does. So my whole thing is like, okay, my thinking is this. Okay, cool. You guys want to capitalize. You want a little piece of the pie. That's fine. I'm using you as a tool because again, like I want to get to a place where I want to invest back and give back to the people who supported me. You know me from here right now in this given moment. People who supported me in track since our Not a Crew days. People who supported track when he was just a DJ in Accurate Productions, and I was on the promotional team, just slinging flyers and shit like that. Like people who support us from way back then, we want to get to a place where we can achieve all that hoopla and shit like that, but just turn around and give it right back to you guys, and that will further empower us collectively, so the industry can be like, oh, well, we have to work with you. You know what I mean? We have to like operate on equal footing. And that's basically the whole gist of it. You have to use the industry as a tool. You have to use technology as a tool. You got to use the shit as tools and not the end all be all.
Yep.
In my mind.
No, I completely agree. I think that's one of the main things that, these tools come into play is their reach, like if you're on Instagram or whatever platform you're on, that's the main value that it brings is that reach. Yeah. Like it's a discovery platform. That's how people are finding you. You know what I mean? So that's what you got to use it for. You got to use it to the fullest. And there's a lot of people where, whether it's just from they're busy making the main portion of their art or their craft, they don't, it's a lot of work. There's social media managers. That's an actual, those are professions.
That's a job.
Yeah.
That's a job. That's a whole job. Yeah.
And it's like so nuanced that if you don't know exactly what you're doing, like you may be trying, but it's not going to give you results like that. So you really got to know how to use those tools. Like it's important.
And that's where I believe me and Track were just like kind of getting our heads wrapped around lately, because again, like we've done so much doing like just focusing on the main part, like creating the craft and connecting with people. Like that's been our main two thing, like mastering our craft. And again, it's far from perfect, you know what I mean? Like we do have our flaws and stuff like that, but it's still an ongoing process. It's going to get better and better and better and better because him and I push ourselves to progression each and every time, not when it comes to our music, but when it comes to us as human beings. And that's the main part for me, you know what I mean? Just constant progression. So like what you just said, like, yeah, we've been so mainly on the main dish. We so cooking the steak. We neglect the mashed potatoes and the broccoli. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn, but I'm not the best mashed potato broccoli maker. I know how to make a cool ass steak. Don't get me wrong. The steak is great. But that mashed potatoes and broccoli, fuck. I mean, we need some help with that. You know what I mean? So that's what the whole social media thing, like I said earlier, I'm not really a social media guy. I don't be on there. I be on there to, like, share some thoughts, share some music and goof around. Like that's how I treat it, because again, like I grew up in the 90s and everything I was taught growing up, and everything's on the screen is for pure entertainment. We saw TV as entertainment. We saw movies as entertainment. And when the computer game got into the mix and I saw social media, I'm like, oh, this is entertainment. It's not real. So it's just, again, I need to get out of that mindset. It's just like, okay, it's not entertainment. This is something I could use as a tool to kind of reach out to people. So how am I going to use this tool? So there's no point of like having a tool when you don't know how to use it. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't know how to use a fucking jackhammer, you're gonna fuck yourself up automatically. So you know what I mean. So right now we're just learning the game, learning the nuances and stuff like that. But we're still prioritizing our craft, because I really feel as an artist that is the main objective for me. As long as the art and the steak is great, the people who are going to make the mashed potatoes are going to come. People going to make the
Yep.
broccoli are going to come. It's just a point of like us doing the best that we can as normal people. Not like I'm not verified on Instagram or nothing like that. I don't got a blue check or nothing like that, but I'm just me. But I'm on there, I'm engaging, I'm reaching out, I'm speaking out, I'm talking to you guys. You know, that's why, Tyler and I created our podcast with our homie Lance. Shout out to DJ Not a Clue, by the way. Love you, boy. We all got the How Rude podcast. And that's what we like, we again pushing more content, just trying to give more people more of a platform to connect with us and more of a space to connect with us and feel safe connecting with us because we're a safe group to connect with. You know what I mean? We're not going to fugazi you guys or, bullshit you guys. Everything you guys going to get from us is going to be 100% real shit because that's what I stand on. And I feel like real shit will always prevail over the bullshit. Always. Even though it's looking pretty bleak right now.
Man, I feel you.
I still feel like it's going to prevail.
I feel you. Yeah, we're good now, man. Kids out there flying drones. I guess I've never, I don't know, man. I've never really just come out and kids are just like flying drones around like that. I don't know.
Hey, welcome to 2022, dog.
That's it, right? That's exactly right.
Drones is in the building now, dog.
That's right. They're learning to fly 'em and everything, man. Now, I wanted to loop back to something that you were saying earlier, though, man, because, I've seen, just like for instance, like Tyler's presence, like on social media, like he knows what he's doing. Like he's got a lot with his presence like dialed. And I'm talking about like I'm seeing him on TikTok and the way he's got his studio set up. He's real aesthetic minded, you know. I feel like, and so like he's got that dialed, man. So I think that you guys have that, like you said, that's people are coming for the steak in the meal. You know what I'm saying? And you guys have that real dial. It just takes some extra time. That's the time. That time aspect is really it, man. For me too, like I just get to a point where I'm like, man, like I'll go through this phase of like posting a whole lot and then you just get burnt out. I'm like, man, I can't keep doing this like every day. Where I'm not like a robot, you know?
I feel like I'm getting on people's nerves by posting too much. Like if I feel like, and I see the value in scarcity. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of value in scarcity. Like it's something so easily accessible and all up in your face every time. You're not going to value it. But if you like, do a little something, boom, and just kind of step back for a little bit, people will be like, "Fuck these niggas at, man!" Like, hold on, we miss these guys. And when we do come out, boom, we get like a whole wave of responses. Like, for instance, little jokey joke. I mean, like I'm not on Facebook a lot. So that's trend happening like a few years ago. I'm like, you know what? I'm over this app. I post a little something every now and then. Just every now and then. And then boom, the wave. Because when I was on Facebook all the time, I get my little engagement, but then I stopped and I made like, whatever I come with a oldie but a goodie. Like, wow. Oh shit. Asaad's here. Click. Oh, he's saying something. Then I'm gone for like a few months, maybe a year. Then I come back, boom, oh shit. So just like now I'm kind of see the value in scarcity. So just like with this whole social media game, it's like a double-edged sword because you don't want to be too much in their face, but you want to add some value and be scarce but not be forgotten. So it's like a little ebb and flow. It's a little, you know what I mean? Like it's a little give and take. You got to find the balance of using this whole, because you don't want to put too much mashed potatoes and broccoli to the side and people neglecting the steak. They too full off the sides. And you want to make sure it's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, but so people just eating the steak like, God damn, this shit's good. And I would not know this fucking steak was this good if I didn't have these two, but it's not too much over here. I'm enjoying this right here. So that's what I'm beginning to understand, and just like, and now understanding the part is all about execution. Me and Tyler was just talking about that. I was at Reno a couple of weeks because he moved to Reno, so I go to Reno to record. I went there to record our project Ego, and like we were just talking about that. Like, yeah, man, like we're pretty dialed in on the craft, like, and we're going to keep being dialed in on the craft, but we have to keep the other shit in mind too. So now we got like whole new stratagems and shit like that, and we're trying to execute. Like we can talk all day. I'm about that action, boss. I'm an action guy. You know what I mean? I've always been actions over words 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sundays.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of person I am. So like I'm like this. Let's execute these visions. Let's execute these plans. So it's all about that, like just proper planning and proper execution. It's like that's the best that we can do at this level right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep on grinding because we want to improve. We want to progress.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that now kind of things are starting to roll, out there, so that way you guys can get back out there, start building that brand back up, because I think folks are waiting on it.
I mean, they are, but at the same time, I see how people be falling for these fake ass like acts and entertainers. I really believe people like the fake a little bit more than the real. Like that's the trend that is like I'm starting to see like, oh, you guys like that fake shit. So you guys do want to see me on Instagram with the bad bitches and the bottles and the chains and me flashing my money account of that. Like, do you guys really want that, or you guys just want me for me as I am, just a fucking dope artist?
Right.
What do you want? Do you want a good steak or you want the extra shits? Like, what do you want, the size more, or do you want the main course? Like, what do you want? And again, like even though I see it trending this way, I'm still saying a resolve on my hill. Like I would die on the hill I stand. That's what people don't understand about me. I would die on the hill I stand on. So I'm gonna keep on being authentic and real because I know it will prevail over all this like fake shit and bullshit that we're seeing, because people are starting to see it. They're starting to not care, but they are starting to see it. And that's what I need them to do, is just start to see it, and then we'll take it over from there.
That's what's up. I had a list of some things that I wanted to just like kind of talk about, and just kind of get your ideas on this different like pop culture, level topics. You know what I'm saying?
All here for it.
That's what's up. Because it kind of trails back to the latest thing we were talking about, social media, man. Like I actually like how you do your social media presence, because, where you're just, at least on Facebook, you post like once every now and then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that's like that scarcity, like you're talking about. When I hear women talking about certain things out there, like there's the dudes that are like on social media, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then there's the dudes that are not on social media, and the folks are like intrigued by the folks that are not like on social media all day, because you don't know what's going on with them. Like if you know what's going on with somebody day in and day out, like okay, like might not even be in a relationship with somebody, but you're seeing like what they're doing day in and day out, man. Like that's just kind of crazy, the level of like connection that people have on there nowadays, where mm-hmm. Like it's actually more intriguing to not know and to be able to like just connect with somebody and talk with them in real life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like I think a lot of conversations on social media, what I found is conversations in real life will transfer to social media because people will talk about what's going on in real life. Mm-hmm. But conversations on social media rarely translate back into real life, whether it's just like you were talking about, people fronting, mm-hmm. or people, just on different kind of levels, just not really talking about anything that they would actually do, say, operate as, or talk about like in the real world. That's that weirdness that, it's just coming with the internet and the internet age. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And my thoughts about that is like, the people who are on there is like, you just said like you get oversaturated. You know what I mean? Like you're knowing too much about this person. This person is sharing too much about their lives and displaying for the public to see. And there's people who are like myself and others who appreciate the value in privacy. Like, I mean, and it's funny for me. It's just like a lot of people think like who I am on social media and like, that's me, but when they talk to me in real life, they get a whole different perspective, because it's like, I'm seeing this shit as entertainment. You know what I mean? I'm entertaining, like, well, who are you entertaining? I'm not entertaining y'all, I'm entertaining me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's some shit that I saw that's funny to me, and I'm gonna share it because it's funny to me. There's some shit that goes on in my mind, like, but I do be saying some life experiences or life thoughts that, or just life observations that I do share, because I feel like it's pivotal for someone out there to see that, because they might be going through some things and they might need to see those words. And you know what I mean, that's me trying to connect with people. It's just like, okay, You may not know what's going on about me in my personal life, but here's what I think about life in general. And this might help you out with your life, because the thing about human beings and life itself, I mean, yes, we're all unique in our own way, but we're all the same at the same time. You know what I mean? So just like, and the people who do not be on social media all the time, who wants to protect their privacy, yo, big ups to us. You know what I mean? Big ups to us, because again, there's some things that we deal with that we have to deal with. But like, I know that's a very contradictory statement that I made earlier, because again, I'm all about transparency. I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. I'm going to tell you how I'm perceiving things and what I think about things. But when it comes to events in my life, and those events include other people in my life, yeah, dog, I'm sorry, I cannot be that transparent with you, man. Like, that's between me and that person, and me and that person only. Mm-hmm. And you say about the conversations that we have on social media, because again, like, I feel like that relates to real life, because the conversations we have, we're all putting on a front and a mask. Like, you know, because who we are behind closed doors is not who we are in public. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those rare people who is the same either fucking way. Like, what you see in public is what you're going to see behind closed doors, because I'm not bullshitting with anybody. I'm not playing with anybody. I'm not fucking playing with y'all. Mm-hmm. So, but some people, they like to play. They like to play, and that's cool. That's what they do. That's what that's what they're about, and more power to them. But I'm not fucking with that. I'm not here for the play. But people who are here for the play, do the whole fake ass conversations online, and do the whole fake ass conversations to their public persona, but behind closed doors or in real life, it's a total opposite, contradictory. It's not the same at all. And it's just like, I feel like those people need to make peace with the duality and just have to really embrace who they are as a whole. Mm-hmm. And who you are as a whole is going to translate in on either platform, in real life or on the internet. That people are going to fuck with you or they're not.
That's right.
Not everyone's on this earth is meant to be your friend, people. It's okay. You don't need to have everyone to like you. It's fine.
Kendrick said it on The Crown on that album. You can't please everybody, you know?
Can't. It's impossible. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to please everybody and have everybody think that you're a nice person, but in reality, you're a piece of shit. Be a piece of shit. Be happy being a piece of shit. Okay? Mm-hmm. Be comfortable with it if that's who you are. If you're genuinely a good person, be that genuinely good person behind closed doors and out in the public. Don't be like, oh, I'm really a nice guy, but out in the world, I'm a badass. Like, that's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? In my mind, it's like, be who you are. If you're a badass, be a badass. If you're a good person, be a good person. But, you know, just celebrate. And again, take 10 minutes out of your day to really center yourself and master yourself and be who you are. And once you get that, everything else in life is going to come easy to you once you master yourself. And it's like, you don't need to do the whole fugaziness. You're not going to be like, you're going to be just like me. Like, you're not here for the play. You know what I mean? Just like, This is real life things. And it's like, sometimes I get in like conversations online, because back in the day, I was a complete troll. Like, all I did was troll people. Because again, it was just entertainment. Like, I trolled everybody. Like, I didn't even care, because again, like, you saw me in real life, but like, oh, this motherfucker's actually a cool guy. Like, yeah, dog, just fucking with you on the internet. Mm-hmm. But I understand, like, again, the impact of words and how that can affect people, because some people attach social media and the internet to real life. They go hand in hand. So I'm in the mindset, it's like, okay, let's all take a step back here. Even people who share the perspective that I do, just take a step back and understand that our words and shit, words have power. As we talk about the whole, we talked about this before we recorded, the whole Young Gunna and, not Young Gunna, Young Thug and Gunna situation. If you're going to speak these words on a record, if you're going to speak these, whatever you speak has power to it. It's like whenever someone's talking shit about somebody, and the next thing you know, a few days later, something bad happens to that person they're talking shit about, that's the power of your words, dog. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's crazy how this universe works. It's crazy how this universe affects this world and how we on this planet and we as a species are functioning, and how our brain and our tongue and our mouths have so much power to it. and people are sleeping on their own power.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just what's crazy to me. Like, you don't understand. Like, I say some shit, and then something happens. I'm like, oh, fuck. My bad. You know what I mean? So just like, okay, I need to, like, you know, stop getting in my own way and start using my power for a better purpose. So, like, again, going back to the whole, like, how words have power and the conversations on the internet and stuff like that, how people do say one thing, they're creating a manifestation, and they're, like, literally speaking that bad shit or that fake shit into the existence in their real life, and they get shocked and confused at how shit's fucking up in their real life, because these powers have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And consequences could go good or bad.
Yep. It's true.
So people, man, be very, very aware of what you speak. Be very, very aware of it. Be very, very aware of your thoughts, because that has power as well. You don't even need to say shit. You could think it, and it be on your brain.
Yep.
And that brain is creating that perception and that reality.
And your body's following suit.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I commend you for like I said, how you're running your brand on social media. I think that is a smart play to create that bit of scarcity. You know what I mean? It really does, because nowadays it's really about engagement.
Yeah.
You know, and like likes are one thing, but that, you know, a lot of people are talking about that's not even the real metric. The real metric is like comments, like you're talking about. Like you're talking about, you get on there every now and then like there's gonna be a bunch of comments because folks ain't seeing you, so they want to know what's up, or what you got going on, or what's up with this, you know.
Right.
So that's the real engagement, you know.
Yeah, and that just goes to who I am as a person. You know what I mean? Like I try to like not throw myself into the faces of people too much. So I like to, like, you know, pop in every once in a while, because again, I value everyone's space. I value everyone's energy. Like right now, like me being on your platform, you invited me here, like I'm valuing this, because again, it's priceless. The energy you put into people is priceless. So I see that, I understand that, and I like hold that dear. So me being all up in your face all the time, I'm devaluing myself. You know what I mean? And like vice versa. You probably feel the same way. But the scarcity and the rare moments that we share and the connections that we make, oversaturation is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. You can be oversaturated with people. You can be oversaturated with a person. People in a relationship could be oversaturated to each other.
Yep.
And that makes, like, you know, the saying, absence makes the heart grows fonder.
Yeah.
I believe in that whole 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in that. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, you know, the whole social media presence is reflective of my real life, because, you know, scarcity is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing when it's something so valuable and so precious as people's energy and time.
You know, I hear people, whether it's around here or elsewhere, they're just like following form. They're just like, you know, just dropping the same stuff, dropping trap beats with you know, really loud hi-hats. And, you know, and there's just certain sounds where it's just like, okay, like that's cool. I hear you can, you know, get a beat from BeatStars, or, you know, make your own beat and, you know, kind of do what's being done out there.
Right.
But like, look at like what Kendrick just dropped. Like, look at what Tyler the Creator's doing. You know what I mean? Like, they're like breaking like barriers.
Call Me If You Get Lost is a fucking masterpiece. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Like, that's one of my favorite Tyler the Creator. Like that, and Flower Boy was good. I like what was the other one? Igor. But Call Me If You Get Lost, you could tell. And that's the thing about artists, is like you could tell the progression. Like, not only that, but Pusha T's latest album.
Yep. Yep. There's those classes of artists, man, where it's the quality of the sound. It's not just to release something that's gonna get, you know, be the biggest song or be the club banger. You know, Pusha's dropping what he's always done. I grew up on Clips, you know, and so like he's always done his thing and been what he's about. He's never really stopped that, you know. He's been, you know, in good music, so he's been around Ye, and there's some things involved with that where, you know, I don't know if necessarily like, you know, when you got a strong personality like Kanye, you know, like there's gonna be some influences. You got to just kind of go certain ways sometimes, you know. Right. But Push, he has been consistent with bars, with the quality of the music being so high that, you know, he's up there where he's at. And he's really, in terms of brand, I mean, I know they had the beef and everything like that, but he can battle Drake. And and held his own completely to where,
Clips. I mean, not Clips, but Pusha T definitely. Well, Clips too. now I think about it, but Pusha T definitely has the catalog to go toe to toe to Drake for me. Like, honestly, like a lot of people, again, they're oversaturated and they're kind of like low key brainwashed by the industry about like saying, oh, Drake's music is good because it has those bangers and stuff like that. But like, if you really break things down bar for bar and production wise, Pusha T is low key smoking Drake, in my honest opinion. If Kanye, like the whole Larry Hoover concert, I saw that on Amazon Prime, and it was like low key a little bit of a versus between Kanye and Drake.
Yeah,
Kanye blew Drake out of the water.
Yep.
For me personally, like Kanye even wrote one of Drake's biggest hit, the Find Your Love record.
Yep.
So it's just like, but if you ask your casual fan, they'd be like, Pusha T, the guy who says coke all the time, rap about coke all the time. Like, nah, you're not understanding he's using coke as a metaphor, like the biggest metaphor of it all. But like, people don't think that deep. They take things at their surface level, and there's like not a lot of deep thinkers out there in the world, and that's perfectly fine. Like, if you're cool being a surface level thinker and you're happy with being that, go ahead, do your thing. Like, I wish that you would have some depth, because if you have more depth in you, more depth in your thinking, you could probably be a better person than who you are now. But if you're content and you don't want to improve, keep things at the surface level. So when you have your casual fans, they're going to be fall more in line with Drake because of the fact that he is very surface level. But Pusha T is very metaphorical, very lyrical, very context based. And I appreciate that. That's what I say. I feel like Pusha T was smoke Drake in the verses. And my honest opinion, because again, it's just like the mood, the energy, the art, the artistry of Pusha T is better than Drake in my eyes. So, that's just my little hot take for today, folks.
Nah, that's dope. That's what's up right there. I'm glad that you brought up that. I'm glad you brought up that Larry Hoover concert, man, because I just wanted to kind of get into, like, you saw the same thing as I did in mainstream in the industry, where there was the whole Kanye versus Drake before the Larry Hoover concert versus Kendrick, and that was when Baby Keem dropped the album, and Kendrick was he said, I'm smoking on your top 5 tonight, and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, folks were like, okay, I used to watch the Joe Budden podcast. I still watch it every now and then, but Joe Budden was just like, okay, like, like, he's really saying all this shit, and he hadn't even been out in 4 years. You know what I mean? And like, then you just get all these people, like you said, these mixed reviews of the album that just dropped and everything like that. But I think there's something that's been lost, that creativity, the value, people aren't placing the value on it like they used to, unless like music is really something to you. I was thinking about it recently. There's the people that love hip hop, and then there's the people that have love for hip hop in their heart.
Right.
Right.
And what you say, like, I feel like Kendrick's project is well worth the wait. In my eyes, like, you know what I mean? Because again, like, a lot of people say, oh man, this Kendrick album sucks or whatever the fuck. Like, he's literally sharing what he's been going through in life musically. He's really trying to connect with the people. He said, my people, our people, my people. Was it Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah.
Oklahoma? My people. You know what I mean? So he's just like, yo, my people, this is what I've been going through. This is probably something that you've been going through. Like, I got nothing but respect and love for this latest project of his, but when he was going back to the whole Larry Hoover concert with the CLB and the Donda, I fucked with Donda more than I fucked with CLB, to be honest with you, because I felt people was like, oh, Donda's like a gospel album. It's like, no, it's gospel themed. It has some gospel themed song, but you have to understand, like, Kanye's strong personality and his very unique mindset. Some people want to label it as bipolar or, schizophrenic or whatever the fuck, saying that he has mental illness or whatever the fuck. I'm sure I'm not an expert, so maybe he does, but I really feel like his mindset has been the same, because I saw his little documentary, Genius. That's always been him. What you see now, that's always been him. So I'm really accredited to his personality and his mindset, because not every mindset is the same. And like, you know what I'm saying, and like when it comes to Donda, his latest album, I loved it because, you know, the fact that he drawn the inspiration from his mom who passed away, because I can relate to that. I had a mother who passed away. You know what I mean? So I related to that on that level. It's just like, once you lose a person that impactful in your life, because seeing Kanye's and his mom's relationship, I compared it to my mom and my relationship with her, very similar. Spoke a lot of power. That's it. There's a lot of power in words. She spoke very powerful words. Oh, excuse me, get a little. Okay, spoke very, very powerful words into Kanye. And it's like my mom did the same thing with me and the rest of her kids. But it's the power of words, and that influenced him to believe in himself no matter what. And that caused him to have the kind of success that he has. It's the power in words. So when it came to Donda, like, I loved it, but like Drake, I've always been a low key fan of Drake. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really I won't put him on Mount Rushmore at all. He's probably in my top 15, maybe top 20 of artists of all time. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not the fact that I'm a hater or whatever the fuck. He makes a lot of great music. I'm not throwing no shade on it at all, but I feel like it's very surface level music.
Yep. I agree. I think that it's very like in the now of like he may be hitting whatever current sound like the industry is going towards. So he's got that pretty dialed. But what is different, like what's setting Kendrick apart from that is I feel like he's got that down musically, sonically, like it was what people needed, this Kendrick album was. But more than that, he's got a pulse not just on like music like Drake has, but like he's got a pulse on like society, because there's a lot that Kendrick was talking about on this album that nobody else really is even talking about.
No one's talking about how, you know, they got molested when they was younger. No one's talking about their father issues. No one's talking about their relationship problems. These are real life things that real life people deal with. Reason why I got into music in the first place was to escape my reality. You know what I mean? Because again, like I grew up very poor, destitute, not in the best, you know, conditions. Didn't go to the very best neighborhoods or nothing like that. It's like, you know, seen some very traumatic things, been through some very traumatic things. And this is an era of the 90s, so I was listening to Big, I was listening to Hove, because they had that whole, like, I made it out, you know what I mean? I'm a success, and life is grand and flashy and amazing. I'm just like, So when I started out writing music and, you know, writing my bars down, I was super into that lifestyle. Like, oh man, I'm gonna manifest this good ass life right here. I'm going to the fucking vacation spots and fucking the Maldives. I'm gonna be in Spain, getting all the Spanish chicks. I'm gonna be like, no, like if I could go and find my old rhyme book when I was 11 years old, I would laugh, because I was really trying to be that guy, Mr. Don Juan, got all the money, got all the women, got all the things, you know what I mean? The glamour lifestyle, right? Then the older I got, the more in tune that I got with my reality here, the more real my bars got. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I realized this, me as a dark-skinned black man here in America, growing up in Texas, being out here in Humboldt County, my perception is a lot different than everybody else's. Even going to when I lived in New York for a little bit, my perception was very different, because again, I was a country nigga, you know what I mean? Like, oh, country bumpkin ass, you know what I mean? Like that, I was that guy. And growing up down there in Texas, I was like, you know, I got the whole, oh, you a Cali guy, because again, like I spent a lot of time in California too, so I wasn't accepted anywhere. You know what I mean? Everyone's like kind of like, you know, pushing me to the side, but it's like, again, like being on the outside, I gained a lot of perception. Again, a lot, and I talked to a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life, and I've been through a lot of experiences and stuff like that. So just like the older I got, the more real I got with my bars and stuff like that. So I am, to an extent, speaking on my life, and that's what something that Kendrick has done with his latest album. He's speaking on his life, and he's speaking on the things that we go through, because I have father issues as well. So that song, Father Time, struck a chord with me, tough. We Cry Together. That is the epitome of toxic relationship, and that's what we do. Unfortunately, again, growing up with the conditions I grew up in, that's black love. There was a lot of toxic black love. Like, that's what we did. We argued just like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that was a little low key trigger. I'm like, God damn, man. It's like, when did Kendrick hurt my relationship problems like 7 years ago? Hold up. Like,
for real.
This is wild, man. And it's just like, and that We Cry Together reminded me of, like, I had roommates up here, black couple. They're very, very good peoples and stuff like that. They're good today, but when they was going through it, whoo, the conversations and the yelling and the arguments, oh God.
They was crying together.
Yeah. They fought hard and they made up hard too. You know what I mean? So you know how it goes, right? So it's just like, that's real life thing. And it's just like, it shocks me that people cannot relate to Kendrick album saying that it sucked, because there was another, I think it's called Auntie's Diary. He was speaking about transgender. Mm-hmm. And people got upset because he used the F word in it. Like, that's what they said. Mm-hmm. That's what people talk like back in those days. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. You can't get triggered or upset about that. It's a reality.
And he even broke it down. I was looking at this thing on Twitter. Some person like really broke that song down really well to explain it. Mm-hmm. And like, there's people that are just going to jump on when they hear something that may be triggering to them. Like, it's just like an automatic turn off. But then you have to really look at the creativity involved, because like specifically even the lyrics, Kendrick is talking about, he said F, 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 F. But then like he's going later on, he's like, that's how it used to be. He's trying to tell you like, and he switches it up. He's like, I changed myself up because that was wrong. You got to show the growth.
Yeah.
Like if you don't show people doing something wrong, showing the epiphany of that, them understanding it's wrong, and then showing some growth, like there's never going to be change,
Absolutely.
Like, and the power of Kendrick standing up for his trans auntie in church. Mm-hmm. Against the pastor, and like saying like, hold up, like I thought we're supposed to love everybody. Exactly. Like there's so much power where if you just hop on like that social media energy, you know what I mean?
He's canceled.
Cancel
shut
culture
the fuck
and all
up.
that stuff.
I cannot stand cancel culture. I'm sorry. I cannot stand it, because it's just like, again, I grew up in the 90s, dog. Like, people said way meaner things back in the day than they're saying now, dog. Yep. Like, and it's incredible to me. Like, again, that's the power of words. You know what I mean? It could really strike a chord with people. But like, you have to understand, just because someone says something or had this kind of mindset they had years ago and they're sharing it now, don't condemn them for it. Don't cancel them for it. Don't cancel anything that anybody said back in the day. Because again, you got to look at the growth. It's not who they are today. In my mind, in my perception, that same thing with racism as well, or anti-blackness, because anti-blackness is a global thing. I don't think that's going to be done with in this lifetime. It's going to be a few lifetimes before we really get past anti-blackness collectively as a whole, because we are at a constant struggle. What is the root of anti-blackness, and what community is responsible for that, and spreading that anti-blackness towards all the other communities? Because I said it's a global thing. There's anti-blackness in the Latin community. There's anti-blackness in the Muslim community. There's anti-blackness in the Asian community. There's anti-blackness in the Black community. It's anti-blackness everywhere. So, like, that's the fight that I'm on. But, like, my heart and, like, my empathy goes to the people who are struggling to be accepted of their identity and struggling with their sexual orientations or whatever the case may be. But it's just like, the degrees of it is different for me, because you got to think about, I think about people who are Black and in the LGBTQ community, how twice as hard their fight is.
Yep.
And I'm over here thinking like, would it be a good, get the steak off the plate and get rid of the anti-blackness first and the anti-colorism first. Let's get that out the water, because again, at the end of the day, what you fuck don't make me come. So I don't care about all of that, but I do care about you being discriminated against and being oppressed solely by the amount of melanin that's in your skin, and how your facial features differ than the opposite community. You know what I mean? So just like, that's just like, that's just my thing. It's just like, if people quick to cancel, like, anything that was anti-LGBTQ plus, you're like, they be black people. Kendrick's a black man. Don't cancel him because you don't agree with, like, what I mean? And he's not even anti y'all. Right. He's pro y'all, because he said something you didn't like on the record. You're gonna cancel him and say his music is suck as X, Y, Z. Like, that's very, very surface level thinking.
Yep, it's like surface level, like you're talking about. Like, it's not giving space to the value of that creativity, and even actually the whole message that Kendrick is, dropping on there.
Facts.
It's just that cancel culture of just, well, we don't like something that triggered us. That's something that I thought about after listening to the song. We cried together a few times. I was like, man, like, this is the most creative, raw and real, triggering, because I grew up in a black family and people were fighting, sometimes. And so, like, I was around it.
We fight hard. Boy,
shit will go down.
Do we fight hard?
And then it was so interesting is that depiction of just like, and I think that I've even seen this outside of like black families, where like that quick switch up at the end of the song, where it's like this immediate, like, oh, everything switched up, and it's just all back to, we make up, just, break up to make up, fucking make it better, what I mean? Like, that shit happens out there,
And that song just, like, again, it makes me think about the toxicity and, like, the whole concept of relationships and how that could really, like, be mentally impactful. Like, who you are with and what person that you're with, and, like, when, again, the tension and the explosive tension that we as black people have. And it's like, I'm not sure, it's like, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in the white community, Asian community. Like, the tension that you have in a relationship and the tension that men and women have, that dynamic is crazy. But I'm pretty sure the dynamic is crazy with men or trans with trans, or like all the X, Y, and Z, all the relationship as a total. But speaking as a heterosexual male, I'm focused on the dynamics between men and women, especially as colored men and colored women, and how explosive, intense things are, because we're holding on to so much anger against the world. We're taking it out on each other. We're supposed to be each other's peace. Supposed to be each other's solace, because this world is madness. And we're not trying to have anything be added on to the plate. Like, why would we? You know what I mean? So just like that, we cry together, just like, how things just switch up, because they're just getting their shit off. They're not even mad at each other. They're mad at the world, and they're just taking it out on each other. You know what I mean? Fuck you got a side bitch. Oh, you want to fuck my cousin? Yeah. You know what I mean? That speaks to a lot of like toxicity and monogamy too, as well. Like, in my mind, you know what I mean? Because again, like, we started seeing people, like I talk about capitalism, and we capitalize. We start seeing people as possessions. You're mine. You're not supposed to be with anybody else. I own you. Da da da. You're mine. It's like, whoa. I got my own brain, my own body. I'm mine. It's like, you know what I mean? So he's just like, let's pump the brake. I'm not the type of guy to be very, very, take over a woman's life and be like, nah, you my girl. You ain't supposed to do nothing. Don't even talk to dude. Don't even look dude's way. If dude's looking at you, I'ma fight the dude. I'm not a sucker like that. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not me, because I understand, like, yes, you're a woman, but you're also a grown adult. Yep. You can make adult choices. And I'm going to hold you accountable for your choices. If you want to step out, do wild shit, that is your choice as an adult. Doesn't mean I don't care. Doesn't mean like, oh, you're not thinking about me. No, it's not that. I trust you to be an adult and make sound decisions. So if you want to go out and do the extra stuff, that's on you, love. I'm over here being cool. You know what I mean? But
Being
like
yourself, yeah.
being myself. But it's just like, again, but like that's not every relationship. Like people don't think that way. They think very possessively because they wrestle with their own insecurities and X, Y, and Z. They want to hold the other person responsible for their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold me responsible for your pain. It's up to you to heal from that. It's not my job to heal you. It's your job to do that. If I cut you, I'm not going to close your skin up for you. Your own body has to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, that's the whole we cry together really, really triggered. Because again, I was in a very toxic relationship 7 years ago, and then about before that 10 years. So it was like two toxic ass relationships, one with a white girl and one with a black girl. So it was like two different dynamics and crazy shit going on here. But thankfully the most recent ex I have, shout out to her. She really helped me see things in a less jaded and a less, it got me out of that toxic mindset and like kind of forced me to do more mental and spiritual work to kind of help heal myself, to get myself to find a certain level of peace about me. And so therefore, like when we cry together, like, okay, I'm not going to cry with you because I'm okay, but I'm going to hold you so you can I'll take that back. We can cry together because again, I'm still human at the end of the day, but it's the fact that that explosion and how it can quickly switch up into like a whole euphoric, I'm mad at you, but I really just want to fuck. You know what I mean?
That's real.
That's a crazy thing about relationship that happens. We're just so mad at the world, we're gonna take it out on each other, but then in the heat, in the climax of the argument, we realize we're not really mad at each other. So I'm sorry. Can we and the rest is history, as they say. But no, that record really got me going, and it got me thinking about that shit too. I also fucked with Savior. That was my shit too.
That was a dope one.
Because again, we looking for saviors, because we're looking for people to come through. We're looking for a person to come through, be Jesus Christ-esque and come save us from ourselves. But the only people that can save us is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Especially growing up in the black community, it was like, oh, there's no black leaders. And it's just like, that's true. There is none, because all the black leaders are either in jail or killed. And it's just and that's very, very discouraging. But it's just I feel like we're missing the boat on that. It's we could be the black leaders. You know what I mean? Us ourselves, us in our individual's house. And even if you're not black and you're you belong to a different community, you could be a leader for change.
Mm-hmm.
You can lead change in your own household. You can start there.
That's right.
You could lead change in your work environment. You can lead change in your relationship with your friends. You can lead things if you want to. But, you know what I mean? You have to really embrace the fact that A, you're in the wrong. B, that there's a community that is responsible for a lot of the shit that's wrong with the world. Own up to it. And be like, yeah, our predecessors fucked us all up. We're gonna lead by taking charge in our own households, in our own community, and have the tough conversations that we need to have amongst ourselves, and act on those, execute. Because again, I'm all about that action, boss. You gotta execute. You can't just talk.
That's right.
Yeah. So Savior kind of reminded me of okay, we can save ourselves. Be a savior to yourself. Mm-hmm. Save your own spirit. You don't need to lean on anybody else to lead you or guide you. We basically have the power in the mind, the power in our mouths to change our lives. So it's just that's the kind of message that I'm pushing through in my art, is believe in yourself, think for yourself, and believe in yourself, but mainly think for yourself and just think in general, because not a lot of people are doing that. Mm-hmm. And just don't rely on someone else to come drag you out of the mud. You can get yourself out. So yeah, that's my little take on that.
That's true. That's all what's up, Mm-hmm. Man, that was, and it's just so interesting. Like with that album, there's the songs on there, like each one has its own bit of like level of creativity of what he's talking about conceptually, like I just really feel like there wasn't a whole lot of albums out. Maybe, there wasn't anything on this caliber since like Tyler's, I want to say. There's a lot that came out, what I mean?
So,
Pushes
again,
came out.
there's a lot of music came out, because I could kind
Yeah.
of disagree with you, because let me see, the whole Griselda act came out.
Yeah.
And it's just
yeah.
like, yo, okay, so I know I love Griselda. That's my shit, because again, it took me back to my New York days. You know what I mean? It's just like, and they're from Buffalo, and
They
all
repping
that.
Buffalo,
They
yeah.
repping Buffalo hard. Now I lived in the city, but it's just like that gritty, grimy East Coast hip hop. But you know what I mean? It's just like, again, I don't know if their story is fabricated. I feel like Conway's story is real. I don't know about Benny's, but I feel like Conway's story. That's why I'm more of a Conway the Machine kind of guy, because you can hear the pain in his bars vocally, and you can resonate to that. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell that Conway's real, and I'm pretty sure Benny's real. And I'm pretty sure Westside is being Westside. Being the potatoes and the broccoli, but Benny and Conway are the steak. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure, like, that's the dynamic of that relationship. But Conway has put out solo projects, and that is just very, very real, very, very gritty, very, very honest and raw, but from a street perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, damn, man. So like, that's real, authentic, raw shit as well, just on a different perspective.
Yep.
You got to appreciate that. The perspectives can be different, but the realness has to stay the same.
That's right. Somebody else coming out of Buffalo that I like is a female MC named Shay Noir. I don't know if you heard about her or not.
Never heard about her.
Yeah,
Enlighten
she's with Trust Gang, which is 38 Special and Ransom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know about those two.
Yeah, Ransom just dropped one. That shit was fire. I don't know if you heard it yet.
I haven't heard it yet.
I think it came out like just barely 2 weeks ago, so it's fresh.
Okay, so I'm going to hop on that. When am I done here?
That's what's up.
I got to hop on that. Cause
now that we done with the Kendrick, now we got some room for some other shit,
I got Kendrick, because I gave that project a deep 3. Any big project from any of the big top guns, your Kendrick, your J. Cole's, your who else, Drake and stuff like that. I wanted to give their project a good 2 deep, like 1 surface level listening and 2 deep level listenings, because I'm like, again, as an artist, I want to make sure, okay, I'm looking at the how the bars are structured. I'm looking at the vocal, the breaks. I'm hearing things from the production side. It's tough listening with your artist brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I give the first listen as a fan brain, but when I get it to my artist brain, I really get into it. You know what I mean? So just like, I feel like when it comes to the top dogs and stuff like that, especially these newcomers like the Griseldas, the Ransoms, me personally, I fuck with IDK. There's this guy that I literally stumbled upon thanks to social fucking media. By the way, stumbled upon. He's from Dallas. His name is Big X, the plug. He's like, this big dude from Dallas, and he's just spitting. Like, he's just like, he's going in. He's really just going in. I've become a fan of his, but again, I could see the authenticity in his craft. So it's just like, when it comes to new project and big artists and stuff like that, I want to give it a listen to on the fan level, surface level, and an artist level, and more deeper level. And in my opinion, it's just like, there's a lot of great projects out. There's a lot of good projects out.
Yep.
Sonically put together, well sound. So it just like makes me feel good, because when I get into my bag, I'm paying attention to that. Like, I listen to Entitled, Tyler and I's project that we dropped on Spotify, Apple Music, all the things. Go look it up. Rude Music Entertainment, Entitled. Stream that now.
Yeah.
So I listen back to that, right? And this is what I'm talking about, progression in the arts, because it's just like the things that we were doing back then. Oh my God, we was doing shit all the way wrong, but it came out okay. You know what I mean? Like, not too shabby for music being made in a homie's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's just like not too shabby at all. We don't got the financial backing to have the premier engineers and none of that shit, but we're making do with what we have. But you can tell the authenticity and the realness behind the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just basically the fine line, the pocket that we all have to like be in.
Yep. It's the caliber above, like you guys are really listening to not what's popping, but what's in your heart. you know, and you guys really care about the craft.
It's a craft to be studied, and it's a craft to be taken serious. Like I love hip hop, I love rap. I've always loved it. I feel like I was born loving it. You know what I mean? It's just like, of course, I have the intelligence and the capacity to be a doctor and a lawyer and all that good stuff, like my mom wanted me to. But like, ever since I heard my first instrumental, and I heard a rapper rapping, it was done. It was done and over with. I'm like, I'm sorry. There's this music shit, this artistry is what it is for me, because like that's why I call myself Asaad the artist, because, you know, ARTIZ, by the way, because of the fact that I don't look at me as a rapper, I look at me as an artist, and you know what I mean. And it's just like every bar that I write, everything that I share comes from a very deep perspective of my life, and how I can just creatively portray that to y'all. And I just hope that, I understand that not a lot of you guys are going to understand it or grasp it, but just like when you let it sit and you let it marinate, and I feel like that's what people need to do with this whole Kendrick album. It just came out. Let it sit and marinate for a while, then come back to it again with a whole new perspective, and then you will learn to appreciate it a little bit more. But that just comes out with every project and I feel like every artist has one song that I'm gonna fuck with. At least one. Even cats out here locally. Like, shout out to BSC, the homies in Eureka, Rock Slang, Pookie, you know what I mean? That's my guy right there.
Yeah.
Shout out to actually Grow Boy Music as well. I don't know if you heard of Sauce, but you know what I mean?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know what I mean? He was out here doing his thing for a while, for a long time. But you know what I mean? It's just like, unfortunately, Humble didn't really embrace him as I believe they should. Because again, how you not gonna fuck with a nigga named Grow Boy Music? Like, huh?
Yeah, for real.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, I mean, I don't know. But shout out to him. I always like big up, you know, the people here locally, and especially the ladies in Lyrical, Chemistry, and the Exquisite One.
Yeah.
Them ladies have been doing it, like, especially Chemistry now. She is flourishing, man. She's really getting on her shit. So I hope everybody be on the lookout for her. She's been on a few shows out here as well. She always brings in a good energy to the crowd and a good energy to a show. So shout out to my sis Chemistry and City Hippie as well. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has a song that I'm going to fuck with. And everybody, I appreciate art, and I appreciate artists in their craft who are taking their craft seriously and not trying to use the shit to capitalize it and just, like, you know, do the whole run-of-the-mill, stereotypical industrial shit. Shout out to Maniac the Rapper as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I known her from way back in the day. Like, way back in the day. I was out here in Humboldt County when I was 13, and I went to Zane Middle School.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I went to Zane Middle School. That's where I first met Maniac. You know what I mean? And she was still doing the same shit that she was in. And then I moved away and I came back up here, and we reconnected then, and just like, yo, she's been a homie of mine too. So always got a lot of, you know, respect for her as well, because, you know, as a member of the LGBTQ community too, and who she is and the things that she's endured and the battles that she's fought and the demons that she's fighting and stuff like that, and the things that she goes through, to still have the perseverance to still stand behind her craft and still pushing to do that shit, it's inspirational. You know what I mean? I can't help but to be inspired. And shout out to Highway as well. That's my guy too. So, you know what I mean? There's a lot of artists out here that I do fuck with, and I believe they have like, every artist has a joint, has a song, has a show, at least one. So your job, their job from that point on is to build on that one. See if you can come out with another one, and another one, and another one, until you hit your masterpiece. What's something that you feel that's your masterpiece? And I feel like me as an artist personally, I'm nowhere near close as my masterpiece at all. But everything that I have dropped out so far has been incredibly impressive, given the conditions that we're doing this shit in. We're not backed by a whole ton of money, and so it's not going to reach a whole lot of people, but we're still grinding. And we're still going to keep at it because we love this craft, or at least I love this craft with a passion that's unbridled to anything else in his life, because music, outside of family and the relationships and connections I've had with people, music is like the main thing in life that always keeps me driving. Always gets me out of bed. It's music.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. Like Lupe said, hip hop saved my life. Like that's me. I've been into hip hop my whole life, man. I remember walking down to the warehouse, getting tapes from the warehouse, getting the cheap tapes, and then like getting blank tapes and dubbing them and taking them back, Yeah. And they wouldn't like that, but I mean, hey, it's what it used to be. Music has changed, the mediums have changed over the years, but certain things have stayed the same, and that's the people that really care about the craft.
Right.
You can tell, you can hear that, you can feel it through the music. That's why I think Kendrick has been, so popular. You feel it through his music. Like he's not dropping, he has yet to drop an album that to me feels like it was like a forced album that a label, like whether it was Top Dog or anybody, was wanting him to just put out. Like there's that artistic, like this is
he took
Kendrick.
his time.
And and so he's showing that like you can do that and still be at the top.
No, and like I feel like that's a good inspiration to everyone else who just feels like with their craft, and like how you can just really stay true to yourself, because again, like we've seen different versions of Kendrick in his journey as well. Going back from Section 80, like back in those days. And the whole Good Kid, Mad City, the whole To Pimp a Butterfly, and going all through his projects, is you can see different versions of Kendrick, but it's all real versions.
Yep,
all of them real. So it's just like you have to appreciate that, and it's just the fact that he's just so gifted in the penmanship. His pen is supreme. Like,
yep.
That's a supreme penmanship. And it's just like to have that and not be so cocky about it and just so arrogant about it is truly a great thing to see out of an artist. Humility is key, folks. Humility is key.
There was another topic I wanted to ask you about. It was related to how we were talking about Kanye earlier and Drake and everything like that, man. But, there's been this in the news. Like there was the Ray J sex tape of Kim Kardashian, right? And so things get recorded. I guess this was like recorded in October, where like Kanye supposedly went to Ray J and got the laptop and whatever back and all the footage back for Kim and everything like that.
Right.
And then that was like in October. And so then the footage came out, like, I don't know, what is this, like May? So this was probably like March, April, or whatever, when the TV show came out, the Kardashians TV show about it. And then Ray J came out and he was like, man, like he just came out and just dropped it all. He was like, this whole thing has been a farce from the start. Like that, like, Kim, like the plan was to use this sex tape to get big, and that's like what she did and everything. And like she made a billy off it and everything. And
it worked.
Like, it did. It's crazy, right?
It worked.
And I mean, it's just crazy to think that whole thing was there for years, man, and nobody knew. Like it was, maybe people had their thoughts of like, well, I mean, I had my thoughts. I kind of knew, like, okay, well, I mean, she got big off of it. You know what I mean? That's what happened. Whether or not you thought it was planned or not, I felt like, well, it was probably planned. Why would it not be? You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
I believe for. No. Hold on, let me walk that back. I wholeheartedly believe that shit was planned, because again, like if it wasn't for that tape, we would not know who she is at all. You know what I mean? And it's just like the fact that she was able to build a multi-million, close to $1 billion empire off that quote unquote scandal, and it just speaks to the ability to capitalize. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can capitalize off of anything and everything.
Yep.
She's an attractive woman. It's Ray J. He was a very, very big R&B star. This this is back when he had One Wish, and that One Wish was One Wishing. Okay, that song was going hard. But it's just like the fact that he's connected in Hollywood as well. I could definitely tell that the whole thing was planned out, because again, like in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, why? Like.
Right.
motherfuckers leak amateur porn on the hub all the time, and they're not getting big off it. You know what I mean? It's just like it just seems like a very normal thing, but the fact that it's Ray J and the fact that he was well known and Brandy's little brother, and you can capitalize off of that, and and again, like, to everything's defense, whether it's planned or not, it worked, and now, due to Kim K's success story, I'm over here like, damn, should I start an OnlyFans or something like that?
For real.
Let me capitalize off of something. I'm kidding. It's all jokes. But like, no, it again, like, sex sells.
Yeah.
Sex absolutely sells. And Kim K is a premier example of sex selling and selling well. And she only had to do one tape.
I know. That's crazy. I mean, $1 billion tape, basically. I mean,
so like you took the words right out of my mouth. So just like, yeah, it's insane, and it's insane how much attention that we pay to it. You know what I mean? Like, we are really invested, because I had never seen a show of the Kardashians. I never seen an episode of that show.
Me
ever.
neither. Yeah.
Not a single one. But the fact that it was on for 20 years or something like that, like, I don't know how long it's been. It's been a minute. This show's been on. And they're building off a quote unquote leaked sex tape.
I know. It's crazy.
Amazing.
Yep. The things you can capitalize on, and the way you can, I mean, it's all about perception. Folks just have that. I think that's something that Kanye, whether or not, there's people that feel like, he's got like a level of, like, people say mental illness and everything and this and that. Like, there's one thing about Kanye, like, at certain points in time, like, I really feel like things that he's putting out there, whether it's on his Twitter or whatever his brand is putting out, like, it's calculated. Like, it's calculated. He knows what he's putting out there, and so, it's like the formula nowadays. Let me just, let me think of some shit, and how is it gonna hit? And if it hits hard enough, it don't even have to be like good publicity. It's going to raise my views. It's going to raise my hits on my music. It's going to make me some money. Folks aren't even caring, like, because they know, like, that cancel culture, people get all riled up, but it's not really real. Like, it's not
real at all. And it's just like, and we talk about, like, people doing things like bad publicity. You ever heard of Kevin Samuels, right?
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to the guy. But yeah, like, he was like, okay, so his platform, if you believe, Kevin Samuel was a quote unquote life guru. But like, as anybody on social media, they're not exactly who they portray themselves to be. But, but the main part of his thing was this, like, I'm trying to, like, encourage the dynamic of men and women to be better, so we can better understanding and we can have these tough conversations. Everyone think that, Kevin Samuels was just on there bashing black women and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, I mean, he was bashing black men as well. But he didn't get the amount of views he get bashing black men, because who gives a fuck about us? You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know what I mean? It's free hunting season for us all the time. Like, that's just the reality of what life is for us. But you know what I mean? But like, he started switching up, like, oh, I'm gonna take female callers in and start dragging their ass in them. Motherfucker, he was on the latest episode of Atlanta. Like,
shit.
Yo, like, dog, you serious? And so all of that was off of bad publicity.
Yep.
That is crazy to me, man.
That is
just like, and that's just like, it just shows you the power, like you said, the ability to capitalize on everything. That goes back to the whole, like, Kanye breaking down, doing the whole, like, when he was running for president. That was nothing but a publicity grab.
Yep.
It got him to Donna to be a very high streamed album.
At minimal cost, really.
Minimal.
All he had to do was say, I'm doing this and that, and there's money involved. They'll
say
move
some
that
wild
forward.
shit. Say that slavery's a choice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Say crazy. Wish, you know what I mean? We can have a conversation about that comment, because now that I think about it, I think we made a choice. I mean, like, it was either comply or die. And people complied. And people died. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people made their choice. Like, even though it was a force upon choice towards another group of people who had no business giving us that choice. It was a choice presented to us. But, you know what I mean? We could have done the third option and fight and died. And there's a lot of us who did fought and lived, and there's some who fought and died. So you can comply, die, or fight.
Mm-hmm.
And like I believe, you know what I mean, in that aspect is just like and this can translate to today because we are all in a form of modern day slavery. We are all slaves. Because our masters now is Benjamin Franklin, Ulysses S. Grant, Andrew Jackson, Alexander Hamilton, Abraham Lincoln, and George Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That's who our masters are right now.
Yep.
So we can either comply with this system, run with it until it runs us into the ground, or we can die, or we can fight. But apparently people are making a lot of choices of compliance, and that's just sad what it is. But just like, yeah, I feel like Kanye, when he said that statement, at first I was outraged. You know what I mean? Like, how fucking dare this coon ass motherfucker here, man? Huh?
Right.
Red hat wearing ass niggas saying slavery is a choice. Like, I was heated, but then I took the time away from the instant internet sensational reaction and thought for myself, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, I could see like my ancestors like, yo, these people are not playing. They will kill us if we don't work for their ass for free and get treated like shit for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, you know, maybe we had hopes like, okay, maybe one day they'll change their minds and start being nice to us. That's not ever going to happen. Like, that hasn't happened. And I think it's crazy and insane that we're leaning on political parties that comes, again,
To fix
going
that.
back to the Savior complex, the Savior song by Kendrick. They can't save us either. They're not even interested in saving none of us. So our response should be the third option. Like, we can fight this motherfucker out if we really wanted to. But, you know, again, there's a lot of us that are too compliant and too complacent in their lives to have that kind of fortitude to make that kind of sacrifice, knowing that their fight may have to result ending in death. But, you know, in life, death is guaranteed either way. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather do that shit. Like, again, I would die on the hill I stand on, for sure. So it's just like, again, like, the choices that we make and like the world that we in and how it all correlates to music is, again, the message that you're putting out. That's why, you know, the message, like, even though people call Kanye crazy, he had a message to put out. People call Kendrick, you know, fake woke or whatever. He has a message to send out. How are you receiving that message? How are you receiving this message? Anyways, no. With that being said, if anyone out there listening got some problems with what I'm saying, you can at me, though. I don't duck for smoke, man. I love the smoke, so you don't need to. I ain't ducking and dodging from nobody, because, again, like, my perception of this world and how it can correlate to my music is just like, it's so clear to me that you're going to have to present one hell of a case of being on the contrary, because I'm backed by facts. These are things I'm seeing. And so, like, yeah, when it comes to, like, bad publicity and stuff like that, and we talk about the Kim K and the Kevin Samuel and stuff like that, it's just like, again, it's the attention, it's the energy that is warranted that you're getting, and you can capitalize off that. And what Rude does, we're not trying to capitalize, we're trying to invest. We're trying to get you to invest, because if you invest something and you invest something monetarily, like, you're asking, like, what are these artists doing? What is your favorite artist doing for you? As a fan, like, if you're a big Future fan, is Future throwing a free concert? No, he's not. Any of these big artists that you're standing in line for, buying their merchandise and buying their music and stuff like that, what are they doing for you? Other than creating a music that's making you feel something, what are they doing to help your life? You know what I mean? So, like, you know, you all in the mud and stuff like that. It would be kind of tight, like, oh man, whoop-de-whoop, Drake's here. He has a free concert, but only, like, limited seating and shit like that. It's like, you know, whoever, it's like a first come, first serve kind of thing. That would be fucking sick. He's giving something back to the fans. Like, here's this. And also to give everything else, here's some free merchandise. Here's some free, like, you know what I mean? Like, say if I had the ability, I go to the highest success, I'm paying somebody's college tuition. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing something to give back tenfold to what's been given to me. Because I believe to improve, we have to, like, get less in the mindset of self-preservation and get more into the mindset of societal preservation and get more in the mindset of like, societal progression. Yeah, not preservation, progression. Less self-preservation, more societal progression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really feel like we should change our human nature to that instead of just worrying about ourselves, because ourselves is going to wither and die regardless, but our society will remain forever.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing to contribute to our society? And what are artists doing to contribute to society?
Because art is really what's lasting. There's what's in the history books. Like, that's what's happened. That's what's going to happen, know. But like, there's art, and that's what really connects with people, man. I keep saying that, but that's really real,
We refer to Shakespeare till this day. He died in in the 1600s, 1500s?
Mm-hmm.
There's centuries, and he was an artist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your art will stand the test of time if it's good and if it's coming from a genuine place.
Mm-hmm.
I wholeheartedly believe that. Rude Music Entertainment wholeheartedly believes that. The music will, like, good artistry will stand the test of time. But again, what are we doing to help the societal progression? I'm not interested in self-preservation at all. I'm interested in the progression of us as a whole. And I feel like a lot of people or a lot of artists are lacking that vision.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Bars.
Yes, sir.
So, like, if anybody's out there listening, again, Rude Music ENT, Google it. We'll be the first one to pop up. Follow us, fuck with us. If you want something real and authentic in your category, your catalog, we will be honored to be a part of that.
That's what's up right there.
Yes, sir.
I love that collaboration too. Like, it's a small community up here, and so I see the people that don't collaborate, and it's almost like it's like me with this podcast, right? Like, I've been running this like hip hop humble, like just Instagram account for I don't know, like something like 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just barely in like the last like year, I've branched out from just focusing on mainstream hip hop, because like I live around here and I listen to hip hop from around here, but like the mainstream hip hop is like what like. That's like my bread and butter. You know
right.
what I mean? And so, like, I've just been posting that primarily for years. But now I switch it up to giving more local hip hop more space, because I think that's necessary if I'm running, like, something that says, like, hip hop humble. You got to actually you got to rep humble,
Absolutely.
To an extent.
And again, like, all the artists that I've mentioned, they will have no problem hopping on one of these chairs and doing this podcast with you, man. So, just like, I peeped that, and it's just like, again, like, it's very, very appreciative that you are offering your platform. That's something that you worked hard on, and you're sharing that, and you're increasing the space for others like myself to be a part of it, to kind of like, again, like, we helping each other out, because, it's going to expose you to expose my platform to your, like, to your product, you know what I mean? And it's vice versa. It's not just like, it's a trade off thing. And it's just like, that's one thing that really perplexed me as well too, because I would love to see a Highway and Grow Boy Music collab. I would love to see a City Hippie and BSC collab, just to see.
That would be fire.
Just to see what could happen. You know what I mean? I would love to see those things, but just again, like, ego is a huge part of an artist, dog. Like, we are very egotistical beings. You know what I mean? I don't care what you say. And that's the thing about this project here, which, like, kind of like took me back. It's like, it's called ego, but if anything, when you listen to it, it's a metaphorical sense of, what I mean? Because honestly, like, due to some real life shit, I learned to keep my ego in check and really take a step back and, take a pause for cause, and just like, all right, you know what? Why am I perceiving these things this way? And what is it about me that's fueling this perception? Oh, it's my ego. Huh. And it's the funny thing about your ego, man, it really blocks you. It can help you or it can hinder you. And for a lot of people out there, which, like, who are not very, very mentally and spiritually in tune with themselves, they'll let their ego take over them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my ego as a tool these days. Previously, it was like my end all be all. You know what I mean? I lived and died by my ego. But nowadays, like, I kind of like, due to a lot of humility, I've come to the conclusion that like, nah, this ego is a tool, just like everything around me is a tool. The social media is a tool. Technology is a tool. You know what I mean? Like, what's in my bag? Ego's in my bag. I could use that ego whenever I want to, but I don't need to use it every time. There's a good time for place for humility and accountability. And I've been prioritizing that for a long time now. And I feel like I've made a lot of strides as a man, and not only as a man, but as a human being as well.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Man, that's bars right there. It's nothing but on this episode,
You know what I
man.
mean? It's what we do.
Man, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting Tyler, in the studio. Lance.
Yeah. Shout out to Not a Clue as well. Shout out to James David Calderon. I don't know if you know who that guy is, but James David was a big influence in Tyler's, I'll have him speak more on that. But like, again, I've met the dude on a few occasions. We talked, we collab. He supported us as well. So shout out to him. Shout out to James David. Look him up on Instagram too. Follow him, fuck with him, because that guy there, he's just such a positive energy, man. Like in his music, man, you just can't help but to like, if you don't feel good after listening to any of his records, man, you must be down in the dumps, like for real, for real. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just take 1 second to listen to him. He's like, I don't know what it is about that song in particular, but I just feel I'm in a better mood now. You know what I mean? I feel like that's his niche. That's what he does. That's what, he's about. But I'm gonna be honest, how looking in, you're gonna have a more personal touch if you actually talk to him. But shout out to him. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the track as well. Like I always wanted a brother who is just like, who's a contrast of me. You know what I mean? That's what we are. Me and Tyler, me and Track, my bad. We're a complete contrast of each other. Even vocally, we're contrasting each other, but it works so well. And it's funny because when we first met each other, when I first came out here in Humboldt, couldn't stand the motherfucker. I wanted to fight dude. I swear to God. He wanted to fight me too. It's just like, but now I can't even imagine putting a hand on the dude. But it's just like, it's funny as time goes on and just like, the energies that, that we could take, because like, I feel like he's like the only motherfucker be like, you know what? I don't care if I lose. I'm going to keep fighting as kind of a dude, because that's who he is. That's what he's made of. That's the cut of the cloth that he is. And I'm the same way. Like, win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna keep fighting. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's, we saw that in each other, and we bring that out of each other in our music. So shout out to Track, man. Shout out to Rude. Definitely RUDE. We put the dots in between. That is us, because Rude stands for Real Uncut Descriptions of Emotions.
That's what's up.
I represent the real and uncut because I'm very real and uncut. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to give it to you all. And he's more of the poetic, emotional, like, he'll make you feel things. I will make you think things. So that's why we are a good tandem.
For real. Man, I'm looking forward to that Ego EP for real now, man.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be nice, man. It's a very nice book. I really highly encourage everybody to check out Entitled before you guys check out Ego. It's going to have some because we like to correlate. We treat our music like the Marvel universe. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, man, we write something out, but we're gonna put plugs and put little nuances in between and make it like a one big ass complete universe, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, there's gonna be a couple of tracks that's our Iron Man, then we got a couple of tracks that's our Thor, then we got a couple of tracks that's our Captain America, then we got a couple of tracks that's our Avengers movie, and then we got a couple of tracks that fall past that, and this Ego's like another phase of that. It's like a little introductory phase to the next step. So if you want to put it in that way, so like, yeah, just give Entitled again at Rude Music Entertainment, ENT. Check us out, listen to the project from start to finish, and then check out Ego. But if you want to check out Ego, hopefully it'll encourage you to check out Entitled as well. So both projects are very, very solid, if you ask me. But that's a biased opinion.
I know it is, Folks gonna be looking for it. Man, I really appreciate your time, Asaad. This was dope,
man. It's an honor and privilege, man. This is the first conversation we had in length ever. Period. So I'm glad it was under this circumstances, because I can't imagine it being any other way, man. So honor and a privilege, brother. Thank you.